this year, I've written maybe probably 6 opinion pieces, and in the last 3 weeks, I've written 3. And I've made the case that the issue is not about percentage increases. The issue is actually, and it's not about so-called realistic, because that's subjective, but it's about economic tariffs. And economic tariffs denotes that whatever you charge must allow the utility to survive, deliver the services you've asked it to deliver, and also to earn return so that it can keep investing money and keep supplying the service. But several things go into that, and that is what essentially I've been trying to be on the side of the people as against the Public Utility Regulatory Body, which is also supposed to be on the side of the people, but that seems to always forget that.
But in this particular case, what you're actually asking for, one of the things you're asking for is that there be a 40% adjustment increase in tariffs. That's not exactly being on the side of the people. Let me hear the crux of your argument.
Well, what I'm saying is that, whether we like it or not, we are sitting in front of a nice TV camera. We've got a host who is wearing a nice suit. When we look at it, most of what we do is imported. So it is important that when we charge tariffs, that the tariffs keep pace with the cost of obtaining those services which make the delivery of the service possible. And unfortunately, the management of our economy has been so bad that what was worth maybe 10 cents 2 or 3 years ago is now worth only about 3 cents or 4 cents. But the issue is that those who provide the service to us, we must pay them in dollars and cents. Their payment will not be static at the CD level. Their payment will be at the dollar level. So as a starting point, the tariff must keep pace. And I think that is the part of the purpose of the automatic adjustment formula which is in place, because exchange rate plays a very crucial part. So I'm saying that, look, there's so much has changed that as a starting point, let's go back to where we started, which was October 2013, since which there's been about 5 or 6 adjustments. And so I'm saying 40% from the July figure, which was not applied, but in actual fact, it's 78% on top of the 2008, 13 figure. Yeah.
All right. So you're not saying that there shouldn't be an increase in tariff?
Absolutely not. I have said there should be an increase in tariff. And indeed, there's another hidden plus for what I'm suggesting. I said there's lots of money being spent by government on subsidizing so-called poor people, but it never gets to them. You and I get that subsidy because we live in houses with single meters, and therefore the 50 units will get it. It's lifetime tariff. Incidentally, that's something I introduced into the whole system. But when you live in a compound house, the landlord who is charging you treble what the tariff is, who is adding his own tariff to yours, where the 50 units doesn't go anywhere, then it's a complete fallacy to say that we are subsidizing poor people, when in fact all you're doing is giving away the first 50 units of electricity to people who don't really need it. And it's a substantial amount of money goes into that. And I'm saying, let's put that money to better use. Let's be able to pay off the debts that ECG has. Let's be able to pay off the debts that we owe people who supply us. And so if you are to actually factor that in, the actual increase I'm proposing could be possibly 80 or 100%. It's a double-edged thing. Add 40%, but also take away the subsidies.
I see. The other thing that you're talking about, which could prove quite elusive, is where you say, let's do this after we've resolved doing so.
Yes, because every single time, it's the Pavlovian argument the utilities always put out. Give us better tariffs, and you see, we'll give you better services. I've been in this sector for God knows what, 26, 27 years. There was a time when the ministry actually determined tariffs. And the same arguments have been heard for almost 30 years. And very, 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 very rarely do we see an improvement in service. I mean, for example, I was put on record that water service has improved tremendously. But still, 20 years ago or 25 years ago, we used to lose 50%. We couldn't bill. that figure has not gone down very much. It means that the tariff contains a 50% loss of revenue. Now, that cannot be efficient.
Now, let's come back to the electricity. Let's stay with electricity for now. You're saying that we should do this when Dumsor is resolved. At what point can we say that Dumsor has been resolved?
I think I said 1 month from the day that Dumsor finishes.
But do we, you see, because power outages would always be.
No, Israel, you see, no, there's operational power outages. You know, so when, first of all, we must do away with the load shedding timetable. When that timetable is done away with, and we know that, yes, if your power goes off because your transformer has gone off or something, obviously, we are not operating in the milieu of JC where we deal with infallibility.
Imagine where ECG comes out to tell us that, okay, because we want the power tariff, let's tell them that Dumsor is over. No. And so we withdraw the timetable.
Let me tell you something. I think I once interviewed Awotwe when I used to do a television program. And I said, if you got tariff increases tomorrow, will you be able to do anything? The reality is that you need to inject. Government will have to find some money to inject, to invest into some of the procurement of crude and other essential things to actually get things going.
But again, I'm coming to the point, at what point do we say Dumsor is over? Because it may never happen.
When the minister's job is secured. After all, on the day that the minister says that I can drink a beer with you because my job is secure because I promised you to end Dumsor. No, but what I'm actually saying is that I would like to see a formal announcement, from the utilities and from government that load shedding is abolished from this day on. Now, then we are dealing with operational losses. Then, obviously, people, you see, we've been taking for a ride for so long. There's no other kind of service that you actually want to pay for when the service is not good.
One of the arguments you've raised is that ECG and the other utility providers have never given us what they promise us. But have we ever given them what they ask for? Well, probably apart from your time.
I believe that's part of the argument. You see, we have always said political tariffs. That's why if you've been following the essays I've written, I said we don't need realistic tariffs, we don't need political tariffs, we need economic tariffs. Welcome car power when it was first proposed because it was needed a year ago when most of our thermal plants were down. Now most of our thermal plants are working, and you understand with the charging of these plants, car power should have to be deployed into 100% production because it's got the highest capacity charge of any thermal plant coming into Ghana.
So we can't afford to let it sit idle.
Exactly, but the point that we have to ask is, 1 year after it was delayed, is it really necessary?
It may not be necessary, and I would want to agree with you, but what do we do with it? Because we have it on our hands. We can't avoid it.
No, you see.
So what do you propose we do with the car power badge?
What I propose is that we renegotiate what we are paying them. You see, the word emergency denotes that you pay a value added, right? So it is no longer an emergency. And therefore, what we ought to do with car power is negotiate it almost as a normal additional thermal plant that we are bringing in. We cannot say that car power is an emergency when it's been so long in the works. So we need to do that. In an emergency, you are allowed to sole source. Okay, we couldn't do it. But we need to look at the comparative costs of car power vis-a-vis alternative producers who are not allowed to bring in their bids and their quotations because we're trying to do so in a hurry. So we have moved from an emergency to a normal situation.
And probably it's a good time to, I guess, also forget about the second one.
Oh, that one should completely be forgotten. Completely be forgotten. You see, we are in a funny situation. We paid $100 million, to car power as warranty, and then we can't pay the people who actually supplying us with gas. We are not able to pay Asogli. We are not able to pay N-Gas. Our own Ghana gas is dying because it's not being paid. Look, all the equipment, I'm told, are on the verge of extinction. The way in which these plants are actually structured in terms of cost, there is always a capacity charge. So that means you are paying for the equipment when it's sitting there delivering no power. So we could have ourselves in a situation where we have a graveyard of power plants for which we are paying capacity charge, and they are not giving us power.
Now, one final issue I'd like to, pick your minds on, that has to do with ECG and the intended privatization or, handing over ECG to a concessionaire. Yes. What's your thoughts about that?
My thought, I'm bidding to run ECG.
All right?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the name of your company?
Ghana Power Distribution Company.
So you've put in, as in one of those expressing interest?
You remember that in one of the essays I said that there is a problem with Ghanaians rightly about ownership of public assets. We think that the family heirloom should not be sold off. But not selling of the family heirloom does not preclude the family heirloom being used so efficiently that we make more money out of it. And so I said, let's kill the argument about ownership. Let's concentrate on better quality service. I would like better quality service. You would like better quality service. But the notion that somebody is going to walk away from some ex-colonial country and take over, it doesn't sit well with Ghanaians. So, for me, I don't think that I have a philosophical argument against a better run ECG. But those who also say that we've tried those before and they haven't worked, also have when I was the energy policy advisor for the government, we brought in Electricité de France to run ECG. That did not work. We brought in the Electricity Supply Board of Ireland to run ECG. That did not work. Some other folks came to run Ghana Water. So people are a little bit wary and say, hey, let's look at it. But I'm sick and tired of Ghanaians talking without actually saying, put your money where your mouth is. You don't want foreigners to come? Well, why don't you put your act together? Why don't you invite all Ghanaians to join the Ghana Power Distributing, and then we run our own thing? You see, we always talk, and we are great at it. We know what we don't like, but we never offer what we like. We never, whenever you hear people talking on TV, delivering lectures, everything, they can diagnose the problem, but they never offer solutions. And that has been the bane of Ghana since we got independence.